I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 9, and today we're going to satisfy our loot goblin, and we're going to start generating a ton of power with Mekanism. Hopefully you guys are ready. Okay. I have something I want to show you, and I've done a little bit of work on the base. Let me sort of explain. Now, if you remember last episode, we set up some processing and all kinds of other stuff, but I also went ahead and started to expand out the way that our ultimate base is going to sort of look. This sort of steampunk vibe, and I've also kind of got a color palette set up. But behind me, I've done a little bit of pre-work, I guess you can say. I've started to sort of design out what this center area is going to effectively look like. With the help of the exchanging gadget, this is made relatively easy. I can almost sort of stand in the middle here and I can paint, much like I would be painting in like MS Paint or what have you. I can do the same thing on all of the walls. So I've created these tendrils that sort of line up, and then I've surrounded it by some of the materials that we gathered last episode. And then I also went ahead and made the entire circle area here, which was this massive hole that was already here, but I went ahead and filled it in and made it a focal point to what will eventually go in this area, whatever that may be. This may be our magic zone. I have no idea just yet. But big plans in the future, and I'm really loving how this is starting to turn out. It is going to take time, just like with anything. It all takes a lot of time to put all of these things together. So that'll be a journey that we work on. But today I have a plan. I want to get more power up and running by the end of today's episode. And I know you guys have been hollering at me into the comments section saying, Chosen, why have you not already, with the getting into Mekanism, why have you not made the generator from Mekanism? Why have you not made the gas burning generator? And today we're going to do that. We should be able to produce over 70,000 RF per tick from just one setup. Now, just a little bit of a correction as far as power goes. It looks like in this particular pack, it has been nerfed a little bit, or Mekanism as a whole has been nerfed. I don't really know. But in this particular pack, you're maybe looking at 7.4 thousand RF per tick. So keep that in mind. If you remember from last episode, this giant structure that we found at the end of the episode, this thing I want to go back and I want to explore. It is huge. It is a massive structure. Just take a comparison to our base, right? I am currently right here. This is how big our base looks on the map. It is tiny. This thing is huge. It is way bigger than our current base is, and I definitely want to explore it with you guys. Now, before we head out, I definitely want to get Fred back. We got Fred now back in his little spot. Nice and cozy. Now, when this thing loads into view, it is just absolute insanity. This thing is massive, but it is full of blocks that I actually want to use for building. So this is actually kind of a nice structure to find. One of the hardest, I think, blocks to get in Minecraft, just because it requires a lot of time, is bricks. And I really want to use a lot of bricks in my build. So this building, I think, is going to play a fantastic role. Now, I think night vision is going to be the best way to go through this. So I have a hotkey bound to my night vision goggles here from the artifacts mod, and I can simply toggle it on. But I'm not sure what these mobs are going to be in here. Oh my. Okay. Well, apparently they are creepers riding slimes. That is just one of many. And I should be able to actually, so long as we're using our silk touch pick, I can actually pick these up. And these spawners should retain everything that they have. So I'm, oh my gosh, their heads. I'm not sure what all of this, these spawners could offer us in the future, but it is definitely worth grabbing the spawners, if at all possible. Yeah, the ones that are archers are going to be really hard to deal with. They have a lot of armor just by default. So this is kind of interesting. Now, the loot, that is going to be something that I'm really wanting to see. Also turn off our jetpack. That will make taking these guys out a little bit easier. You know what? Having the creeper boots or maybe some knockback prevention would be really useful for this. But let's take a look at our first loot chest. Okay, so it's got slime and it's got some bows, lots of iron in here, and then we have a lot of gear. It looks like that's going to have enchants on them, which is great because here soon we're going to be able to actually take the enchants directly off of gear like this. But this is going to be huge. These spawners are essentially skeleton spawners. but it looks like they spawn with very interesting gear. And I wonder if that gear could actually be pulled off the mobs and reclaimed. By the way, when breaking spawners with a pickaxe, it really takes a hit on the damage, on the durability. Oh, you can get blaze in here. Oh, and you can also get apotheosis gear. Oh, that's really nice. And there's so many chests. This is going to be fantastic to just loot. And the fact that we have a jetpack, we can just blaze through this area so quickly. So quickly. There's a bundle. I kind of want to grab that. I don't really know what for just yet, but I am going to try and grab everything I can. There is so much to be had here. Now I'm starting to recognize a theme. That is definitely a frog. There's definitely a frog right there. And this is a frog as well. Oh, there's a loot chest back here. I should probably grab that if I can. There we go. Oh man, these are so nice because they have gems in them. But I'm noticing more frogs everywhere. So is this like a reference to Studio Ghibli a little bit, or maybe draw some inspiration from it, from like the bathhouses and like the frogs that inhabited like the Spirited Away? I'm starting to get that vibe because that's definitely a frog. and there's definitely frog mobs that are spawning out of these spawners. I will say also, these stairs are huge. These are some big stairs. I wonder if the way you would get up here is by walking up the decoration on the side. Oh, this is like a library. There's another frog. So yes, this is definitely frog related. These guys have 1 health. Is it because they're librarians? It's gotta be, right? But this is definitely a good place to get bookshelves. Holy smokes, there's bookshelves everywhere. I feel like having flight through this area, it feels like cheating. But, oh man, just grabbing all of the loot that's up here is so nice. These are just basic enchanted books. Oh, so good. This loot up here has tons of diamonds and gold and even gems. And just having access to those gems are fantastic. There's so many like weird corridors that just lead everywhere. I love the little seating rooms like from this build. Oh, it's so good. And there's like that frog in the middle that just accentuates the whole area. But there's definitely a deeper story behind this. And I know that there was an advancement that popped up when we initially found this area. That had to have been in reference to something. I'm just not familiar with its story. But here's the froggo. Oh, it's so adorable. I wonder if there wouldn't be anything. Okay, there are things inside. Just blocks of gold and a loot chest. Yes, whenever you could tell, I have looted so many structures. If you think there might be something hidden inside, there probably is. But that's also an expectation that could potentially get you feeling a little sad whenever there's actually no loot in them. This right here is the table of champions, it appears. Oh, just more apotheosis gear. This is a great way to farm the apotheosis stuff. Normally you'd have to go after the mobs and it can be kind of tedious doing that, but if you could loot it, that's nice as well. There's another frog on top of the frog building. And this one has golden eyes. It's adorable. And another table of champions. We're gonna come out of here with so much diamond. If you were to find this early on and you had yourself a jetpack already, you would be set. No mining needed for you. Nope, you wouldn't have to. No need for it. You would have plenty of diamonds early game. I also just noticed it looks like there are 2 eyes peering into my soul. The building itself is indeed alive feeling. Now though, it is time for us to head up another flight of stairs. And I don't know why I've started to take on this accent. That is a cool looking painting. Oh, there's huge paintings on the wall. We've barely even covered the floors. Like, I feel like we're so far behind. Look at these guys. Yes, they look like fish. They're definitely frogs. And they are heavily armored now. So whatever floors we are on right now, heavily armored. I wonder if the loot pools potentially change. Oh, these guys have tipped arrows. There's more slimy boys. Okay, we've got to see. Oh, this has ender pearls. So this loot pool has ender pearls, which is good to know. On this particular level, doesn't really seem though like there's a lot of loot chests. Ah, these rooms. This is acacia. Oh, here we go. Aha. So yes, there are more. Blaze powder, everything, man. That's so good. Having access to blaze powder this early on. Let's see, what's in this room? This is like a cooking room. So we have 2 loot chests over here. And yes, more diamonds, more gold, more slime. These are some slimy frogs. But look at this. These are burger heads. This is a great place to farm these decorations. Okay, with that, I'm going to make my way up the stairs. They gave us speed. They shot us with a speed arrow. Oh, hey, whoa, hey! No way that just did that. What did that hit me with? Slowness? Okay, we've got to be a lot more careful. I will take the sensors. We've got to be a lot more careful now. That was not good. That was very I wonder if these have explosions in them, if these have TNT. I do not want to deal with trap chests right now. Oh no, at least if I do need to be quick about it. I need to just pop in, grab the stuff, and get out. That's all I need to do. I feel like one of these might just blow the entire building up, and that's actually kind of scary when I think about it. Looks like I'm going up to the next floor. And let's hope this one doesn't have a trap. Okay. This one has no trap, but now I'm very cautious. This is another dinner area. Oh, I like these. These are kind of cool. These are so cool looking. But yes, it does seem like the loot sort of stays the same, which I'm not complaining about. Now this is a new face. What in the world did it just do to me? Okay, you've got to go. You've got to go. Oh, this is from Iron Spells. That's what this is. A necromancer. Ooh, a new kind of enemy. I see. These are all copper blocks. So this is just more copper. We might have to come back and grab those copper blocks. But this place is amazing. If you could clear out all of the spawners and turn this into a base, what space you would have. Like, you wouldn't even need to build anything. You just have an infinite amount of space. Now, this is the upper floor. Let's see what the loot looks like. More emeralds. And the upper floor is super pretty. Well, this would be a great place to set up Britannia. More frogs. More, oh my gosh, more everything. More ender pearls. There's so many loot chests. You could be in here for days. You could literally be in here for days. As long as you avoid all the creepers and you avoid everything else, you will be set. You just need a rather large backpack and a little bit of time on your hands. I can't forget above the cloud layer, there's actually more chests. As if there couldn't be any more. There are chests up in the trees. And I think that's it. I think both of these sides are exactly the same. So it looks like the loot chests are indeed the same on both sides. So other than that, this is the structure. Tons of loot to be had from this place. I mean, even the paintings up there, like the blocks themselves contain blocks of emeralds. It's good. You know, oddly enough, this right here almost looks like the All-the-Mod star. It is very star shaped. Now there are definitely some secrets. This looks like it's barred off. I don't know if there's a way to get back here legitimately. Oh yes, this is definitely some sort of back room area. And I wonder what secrets lie back here. It looks like it's a bedroom. Ah, there was a door. Very hidden away. Oh no, this is not an access into here. Wow, there are just, it seems like once I thought I had explored everything, I find more. These are bedrooms. Must be bedrooms for the guests. The Froggo guests. These hallways just keep going and going. Oh, this was the entry into here. I would never even have seen that. Just in case you wanted to find more diamond, there are diamond in the walls. Yes. Oh, I just noticed there's actual text here that says too narrow to be a painting. Whereas this one says the end ship. But if this one's too narrow to be a painting, how come these work? Hot place, not for us. It's art. I mean, you just kind of have to sit back, look at it and go, ah, I get it. I get it. Oh, I love the detail. Just all of these having their own names. Frog before heaven. Oh, it is a frog. It's sort of like looking off into the distance. Just like this one is called Time to Go Outside. Yeah, I see that. I see that. Now, to turn off the lights, this is what it looks like without night vision. It is honestly quite breathtaking with all of the lights lit up like they are. And I love this. I love this. But the one thing that I love more about this entire building is all of the building blocks that I now have to be able to harvest. And a few of those now exist exclusively outside from the looks of it. So if I was to just simply pop outside and take a look at this from the outer area, we will see the roof contains quite a bit of the materials that I want to build my own building out of, and that is bricks. There are so many bricks. Oh, it's going to be so nice. We can just take all of these bricks for our own. These take so long to make. You know, even with one side of the roof completely gone, it still doesn't look half bad. Now, the loot gained from all of that is quite extensive. We got tons and tons of emeralds. This is just from looting just about every chest I could see. 128 diamonds, and that's just in this bag because there's stacks of diamonds over here in my other bag. Tons of emeralds, enchanted golden apples, tons of gold, lots and lots of gears and jewels, or these gems. These gems from Apotheosis are really nice to find because they can take quite a while to obtain. And they offer quite an extensive amount of power. But also a bunch of just random enchants, which is not too bad to get either. Now, with all the exploring out of the way, let's talk about the overpowered part of Mekanism, and that is power generation. And when we think about overpowered, we may be thinking about it in the context of this mod pack overall. But in the context of Mekanism, this actually isn't a lot of power at all, because these machines, when fully upgraded, use thousands upon thousands of RF per tick, and nothing in this pack is going to be able to compete with that. So, with that said, we should definitely make our gas burning generator, and that is at least going to be able to power the Mekanism machines. Now, there are tons of other power sources that I'm going to be getting into throughout this playthrough, but for now, getting this up and running will definitely help us make those setups a lot easier. Now, to prep for this area, I've done a little bit behind me. This is actually a part of the palette that I really want set up, and over here is my block palette. If you see this, we definitely have some of the rope from Farmer's Delight that I'm using here, and also some spruce. And so this is going to be sort of the next level up. And what I've done is I've placed down an elevator. So an elevator can be camouflaged. And the cool part is you can also camouflage slabs, but you do have to be very specific and place it either on the top or the bottom half of the block in order for it to take on the actual slab. But it does exist in here, and it can take on the slab form, which I thought was pretty cool. Now, one cool part about what we have set up already behind us using the ore processing is that when we go to set up this generator, we actually don't have to worry about an electrolytic separator because we are already producing hydrogen, which is actually going to be what we use in order to produce ethylene, which is what we're going to use to power our gas burning generator. Now, the process of producing ethylene is actually kind of cool, and the fact that we can do it and produce power from it is really nice. The byproduct of producing the power this way can be used later on because it's going to produce a substrate. And the substrate from Mekanism is used to produce HDPE pellets down the road. And this is necessary because this is how you actually make late game items from Mekanism. And so you're going to need these sheets in order to produce SPS casings and antimatter stuff moving forward. So this is a great process to have just up and running, and it's going to produce you power and also help you in the long run. Now, I know what you're waiting for. You're like, Chosen, I want you to show me the simplest way to set this up and the cleanest way. And I think I have you covered. But let's go over all of the blocks that we're going to need. So I did need an osmium compressor. You put osmium down here and you put the refined obsidian dust in here, and you get the refined obsidian ingots, which are needed to make the gas burning generator. Also, all of the atomic alloy, which we set up a few episodes ago, we were able to automate all of that. So it's pretty straightforward, but this is ultimately what we're going to need, some sort of plant matter. And what we're going to be using, I think, is one of the best to use is melons. Also, the quest even recommends using melons for the gas burning generator. So we need to process those melons, and there's a couple of ways that you can do this. I'm going to be using a precision sawmill just to forego needing to use all of these other methods, but you can use a compacting drawer for this. However, keep in mind that you are going to need some sort of pipe because there is no way of filtering out what you use in the pusher or puller. So I think going with the sawmill route is going to be a little better, which can take the melon itself and should be able to chop it down into the same amount. However, it is going to require some power. Not a huge deal. Now I am using some hopper botany pots, which is pretty nice. And this is just going to produce the raw melon. Now I want to use logistical transporters to simply send the items over. And because this is a hopper, it is going to immediately send it over. And then we want to make sure that the input is set to the right, whereas the top, the output here, is going to output this ingredient up into our crusher. Now on the crusher, let's go ahead and just clear everything. We'll make this an input and we'll make this new barrel an output. And this is where we have to talk a little bit about a few different things. Also, we want to make sure auto eject is on for both of these machines. So let's talk a little bit about this because it's going to crush and it's going to turn into substrate. Now it's going to go into this barrel, and I want to use this barrel for one specific reason. I want to be able to void out certain materials while also keeping them locked into place. But I want substrate, once we start sending this PRC, this material, I want to send the substrate back into this barrel, and I want to try and void it if all possible once it has completely filled up. Now, I run into one simple problem. The PRC can actually accept back the substrate, and I don't want to do that when I start putting some upgrades in here. So let's go ahead and get these set up. So first of all, the void upgrade, I don't want to void up biofuel because I want this to produce and then stop producing when it doesn't need it anymore. And so I don't need to worry about that, but let's go ahead and set a allow list to be voided, and we'll do substrate. And so that means that whenever the substrate slot is full, when it starts to overflow, then that's when we want to make sure that it deletes them. But I want to also be able to send to the machines. And so this is pretty important as well. So right now it's already started to work, but we actually need to set this up with an allow list. And what we want is a push and pull on the top. And that's really all we need because this machine will automatically eject into the appropriate slot, which is just what we want. So now with both gone, we need to take this, which by the way, this is going to be a push icon at the bottom. We want to make sure that this will not push the material that we don't want it to push, aka the substrate. So with this block list, we can set it to block. It's going to block substrate from being allowed to go in to any of these other slots. Now everything else is fine. We can leave this on block and that should work. So this machine should allow us to send a couple of things in here. Now we can go into the memory slot settings and we should be able to activate the memory slots. Once this machine starts running, we'll start to notice that the substrate should eventually end up down. Let's go ahead and clear this real quick, and we'll set this to input output, and notice that that now ended up going in here. So the only thing we're missing is giving this enough power so that way we can get that bio, which we should have a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use this simply to lock up the machine. So we can put the bio in here, and then, oh, and that goes into the machine so quickly. Let's go ahead and turn this off for right now. But let's go ahead and lock this machine up. So we'll do that, go to the memory slots, and we'll select the slots. Now these are locked, much like locking a functional storage drawer. So with that, we can turn this back on and make sure, like I said, this is input output. Now on the top, this is also going to be output, but this is actually under the fluids tab. So let's go ahead and make sure that we accept fluids in the back, but no other slots, right? And we want the top to automatically send, let's see, fluids. Actually, maybe it's not. No, this is gas, right? FE partic, the burn rate. Yeah, I think this is the gas. So we need this to be set up, and we need the top to be an output. We need the sides to accept, but everything else doesn't matter. And so there we go. So we should have the right also being an input. So now we should be accepting the hydrogen, which is, by the way, coming from our prior setup with the electrolytic separator. And that's basically it. So now we have this stacked up, and the only thing we need to do to be able to start generating power is by simply placing the gas burning generator directly on top here. So as soon as we give all of these power, this should really start to ramp up. There's the ethylene going in, and then we receive power from the face of this machine, by the way. And all we need to do is simply give this some upgrades, and this bad boy is ready to go. So all we got to do is put some power into this with some gates, and then we're going to be able to easily generate power back into the system. And all we need to do is upgrade this till we can't upgrade it anymore. And this should be able to produce easily thousands upon thousands of RF per tick. So just to recap, we basically have the hopper botany pots with a logistical transporter sending into a precision sawmill. That is then producing melon slices that are getting sent into the crusher from Mekanism. The crusher is then taking those and sending that into this barrel, which does have hopper upgrades, which allow you to tell it where you want to send items and filter them. And then we're able to take those and send that into the pressurized reaction chamber, which is receiving hydrogen and water from the back, hydrogen from our 2 electrolytic separators that are powering our purifying factory. And then that, as a byproduct, is sending out the substrate, which goes into this barrel and gets voided after it hits its max amount that it can store. And then, as also a byproduct, we get ethylene. Now, the ethylene is then immediately being sent to the gas burning generator, where it can build up and continue to produce up to, I believe, like 72,000 RF per tick whenever it starts to hit its max. So now at this point, our only limiting factor is actually going to be how much can we actually send via these little ender gates, right? We can only send up to 5,000 RF per tick. So that is definitely going to be a limiting factor. And then we're also going to want to get our speed upgrades set up and ready to go, and our energy upgrades ready to go. And all of these combined are going to help give us a net positive, which should have a net positive, but this is only going to make it even better. So with that, we get all of our energy upgrades in here and we're ready to go. Now, something I noticed, I feel like this has been tweaked. The energy density normally is set to like 11,000, I believe, but in this particular pack, it does appear that the energy density is way lower, which, if it has been nerfed, is kind of unfortunate, given the fact that this is one of the primary ways to allow for upgrades in Mekanism machines. Interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, that burn rate does appear like it has changed, like the energy density, so it may not be able to produce up to 72,000 RF per tick, like I had said. That is on default settings, and I don't know if this is just changed overall, but it still seems like it can produce several thousand RF per tick for us, which is more than enough, in my opinion, for an early game setup like this. I still think once all the machines have all of the speed upgrades, it's 100% worth the investment. Now, just to make sure that our sawmill can keep up, I do want to set up more of the hoppers back here. So we are going to need more of the crops. So I think 6 of them might be good. I might have to add more, who knows? But I'll have to be able to see and make sure that this is not decreasing. Now, also back here in the back, I went ahead and gave a spot for seeds to go, because these do also produce seeds. Which is also one of the maybe negatives of using this particular crop over anything else, but it does seem to keep up, and you can have less hopper botany pots for this particular setup. I went ahead and also made sure that it is the only thing that can go in this barrel, and making sure I'm voiding it. So now with that, we have expandable power, but we're running into even more bottlenecks, even though I think ultimately to be able to complete this pack, you need a few things, right? You're going to need some sort of storage, you're going to need production of resources, and you're definitely going to need power. And we've got most of that already covered. However, we are going to need to expand and expand and expand on that as we continue to make our way through this amazing mod pack called All the Mods 9. So now I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Of course, if you did, be sure to click that subscribe button and power this channel just like we powered our base. And give this video a huge thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. Also, comment down below, what do you think is one of the best ways to generate power in this pack? I would love to hear from you, and we will probably end up getting into that at some point. Now, without further ado, it's time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to the Kring Krong. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord, and becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. You guys have been amazing today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, yet again, thanks for watching. Bye.